This week on Inside the Headset, we are featuring Coach George Papageorgiou, the offensive line coach at Benedictine College. Coach Pops reflects on his coaching career, some changes he sees in the next generation of players, and reflects on his selection as a 2022 AFCA NAIA Assistant Coach of the Year. Now, let's get inside the headset.
Coach Pops, how are you doing?
Good. How are you this morning?
I'm super excited about being on with you. Hope all is well. Hope the weather that way is allowing for you to stay warm and all that good stuff. But excited to have you on.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So let's kind of dive right in here. You've been in this job industry for a long time and have seen a lot of things over the years. Just to take it way back, even before you start coaching. Played fullback at the University of Washington back in '78. Had some opportunities to get into coaching early on over in Oregon. Who are some of your people that influence you, early on in your career, even maybe back in the high school days, to actually want to get into this profession?
Well, the late Don James, who was our head coach at the University of Washington, I had a great opportunity to sit on the bench and watch Warren Moon throw touchdowns. And I learned what a great program looked like. And Coach James, through the suggestion of my mentor, my position coach, Al Roberts, who is still with us, retired from coaching in the NFL. It was Coach Roberts who suggested that Coach James take me on as a graduate assistant. So that's how I initially started in the coaching profession.
Awesome. And what you said your running backs coach, or fullbacks or running backs coach? I'm assuming probably both.
Yes. Yeah.
What was a mentor of yours? Like what made you kind of buy into this guy? As you were coming up as a player.
Well, my late father was an immigrant from Greece. My mom was Greek American. And so I did not have a lot of background in American culture until we kind of moved into a suburb area. And then I discovered football, and fell in love with it. And it was Coach Al Roberts, who was my position coach throughout my career, my mentor. He's like my second dad, and I'm still in contact with him on a regular basis. And Al had been a longtime special teams coordinator at multiple NFL teams and was with people like Buddy Ryan a couple times. And so he's the one that suggested I get into coaching, and he kind of kept me on the straight and narrow. So I owe a lot of it to Al Roberts. Going into coaching a little bit in the days in different places in Oregon. The late Don McCarty was a former high school coach. He hired me on at Lewis and Clark College and got me going maybe my first job after I left Washington. So some of those kind of people, meant a lot to me.
Awesome, Coach. Well, obviously, they got you rolling, and then you kind of look at your bio, and it's super interesting because over your coaching career, you've been on offense, you've been on defense, you've been a head coach. You've touched every part of the field, so you know ball at this point. What having that exposure to both sides of the football, what were you able to gain from all of that experience? Just touching different sides of the ball.
Well, I think the couple things, and again, I'm going to go back to Coach James was highly organized, extremely organized, and was a coach who believed in discipline, fundamentals, and then completely honest with you. And I think those transcend times. Young people nowadays have so many things going on in their lives and so many influences. But I think if you are honest with them, if you have the ability to teach both verbally and visually, they appreciate that because they're much more knowledgeable than we were. We just sat there and whatever the coach said, we did. Now that these young guys, they want to ask the question, why am I doing it, or why are you doing it? So you have to kind of be prepared. So I think those are the things that I've learned, is to be honest with them, work hard, and then above all, show them that you care. I mean, they're still young people, and they want to know that they can count on you day in and day out.
I love that, because actually I kind of had a follow-up question prepared for you, and you pretty much answered it. I'm going to ask it anyways to see if you left anything off, but I was going to say, when you start coaching different sides of the ball, different positions, clearly there's obviously some technique stuff. There's stuff as a coach you have to go and say, okay, you know what, I've never coached offensive line. I never played it. You know, I need to go sharpen my tools on that. But what are some of the things that are consistent across the board, regardless of what position you're coaching, you know, just some of the traits and some of the things that you need to keep in mind to be a good coach, not necessarily a certain position, but just to be a good coach in general?
Well, I learned a long time ago that a poor coach yells, a good coach teaches, but if you strive to be a great coach, then you better be able to demonstrate or show them. And so that's one of the things you try to do, because some athletes are visual learners and some are verbal learners. So I think being very organized and be able to give them an idea what it should look like goes a long way in helping them, regardless of what side of the ball you're on.
Absolutely. Well, you know, you've had the opportunity to coach these positions over the years, and, you know, football has remained pretty constant. Obviously, styles of play have changed here and there, but, you know, football is football when it's all said and done. But, you know, you've seen the emergence of cell phones. You've seen the emergence of technology over the course of your career in regards to our student athletes. You know, minus the dreaded transfer portal and, you know, some of the social media stuff. What are some of the things that you feel like has changed with the student athlete, you know, having, you know, covered different decades over your coaching career?
The knowledge that these young people have is incredible. How much more prepared they are early in their career, both physically, mentally, technique-wise. There's so much better coaching at the youth level. Obviously, kids will take advantage of camps. There's great coaching at the junior high level, high school level. High school coaches are amazing what they do with these young people. So I think the fact that there's so much more education for these athletes at the game of football makes them much more prepared. And also, knowledge can be a little dangerous because they feel like they have an idea, and sometimes their supporters, their family feel like they have an idea, but it still comes down to ultimately when they are ready to get on the field. I always tell them two people will know it, you and me, and I'm talking about the player. He'll know he's ready, and obviously as a position coach, I'll know he's ready.
That's right. Now, yeah, I kind of left the transfer portal off of that list of things that have changed, but obviously it's something that we're dealing with in football. But, you know, with a coaching career like yours, I mean, you know, this isn't the first time you've seen a shake-up in, you know, kind of NCAA rules and legislation. You know, things have changed so much. A part of that, you know, obviously technology has changed. I love hearing stories from Coach Tarberry, our executive director here, of like, you know, pre-huddle, you know, hey, we had VHS tapes. And even before that, he goes back into, you know, cutting stuff up on the wall. I'm, you know, not old enough to know exactly what he's talking about there. But what, as far as recruiting goes, what have you seen change? You know, what are some of the things that obviously, you know, like I said, the transfer portal is one of those big things. But, like, you know, just in general, going into high schools, coaches been prepared, whatever it is, what have you seen change from the recruiting standpoint over the years?
Again, I think that because of technology and communication ability, the high school coaches are doing a phenomenal job of marketing their student athletes and letting you know that these young people exist. The other thing I think with the recruiting is that as a football program, in our case, like in any case, you're now able to invite the student athlete maybe quite a bit more opportunities to come onto your campus, to be there for skill camps, recruiting visits, a little different than in the past, summer camps, those kind of things. So, it's much more hands-on. I think each institution is taking the bull by the horns in terms of giving a chance to look at kids.
No doubt. Well, Coach, let's shift gears here a little bit. You're on a 20-plus year run at Benedictine, which is amazing, especially in this profession, to be able to stay anywhere, and have some longevity. It's just a tough thing to do. Success or not, it's just a tough thing to do. What is it kind of meant to you to be able to, have a home and, have somewhere that you've just been for a long time and be a part of building that culture and maintaining that culture? What does it mean to you personally?
Well, the person in charge of our entire college, President Steve Minnis, and he was an athlete here at Benedictine. He's created a culture of success and making sure that we have top professionals in all our sports teams. And under the guidance of his right-hand person, our athletic director, Charlie Gartmeyer, we've created a culture here of championships. For example, recently our women's lacrosse team won the national title. All our other sports are nationally recognized. And, I think those two people have created that atmosphere. From a football standpoint alone, there's only one person to thank, and that's Larry Wilcox, Hall of Famer, my friend, the person who hired me and brought me on over 20 years ago. And without him, I don't know where I'd be. So I credit everything to Coach Wilcox from the standpoint of keeping me here. And, of course, my wife, Michelle, has been very happy the fact that I've stayed on board and not chased the brass ring every other year.
Absolutely. And, I love when I'm able to be on a podcast with somebody with just so much experience, because it's just, we do this obviously just to dive into coaches' careers, but we want our listeners to be able to take away something. And, a lot of times when you have this wealth of knowledge, I want to ask so many different things. And so you may mention there your wife, Michelle, and you also have 4 daughters. Alyssa, please pardon me if I mess up pronunciation up, but these look pretty simple. Alyssa, Nicole, Lauren, and Michaela.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
So, 4 daughters there. In this coaching industry, oftentimes the family aspect, we preach it to our student athletes. We most likely in most places have a great culture of family within the facilities, but sometimes just being an active father, husband can be difficult just with the amount of time that you spend, watching film, recruiting, et cetera, et cetera. What for you was it like to be a father and a husband, over your coaching career?
Well, again, I want to credit Coach Wilcox, and now under the leadership of Coach Osborne, our new head coach, who is a brilliant young mind, by the way, they're all about family, and they want you to have that time. So you don't feel pressured on making a decision. Is it football or family? Right. Family comes first. Obviously, football and your faith are an important part of who you are. But being able to stay in one spot and allow our children to grow and develop their own goals and loves and relationships has been phenomenal. And I'm truly indebted for the rest of my life to Benedictine College, again, going back to our leadership with President Minnis and Charlie Gartmeyer. So it's been a fantastic run. Absolutely.
And for young coaches, maybe bouncing around and, trying to, sometimes chasing the bigger check or sometimes chasing that bigger logo on the polo. What kind of advice would you give about finding places that make family important, versus chasing maybe some of the other things?
Well, I'm not an expert in chasing because I haven't really done that a lot.
Correct.
Been to a few places, actually, and again, the support of my family, with the leadership of my wife, Michelle, being willing to allow me to, play football coach, to be a kid, has been obviously the reason why we've had that kind of, family life. But as a young person, if you are going to kind of chase the dream, and you are married, obviously communication and goal setting is important. Your goals need to be attainable, reachable, but they also need to be aggressive enough that you're willing to work hard and go for it. But you have to have some foundations in how you treat your family and some of the things that you hold on to, if that's a faith life, if that's part of who you are, the stability in the home, and allowing your children to also reach out and live their dreams. So it's a give and take, but I understand the lure of going for it, as they say. And in my case, I've actually turned down some opportunities that some people would go, why did you do that?
Right.
But that's water under the bridge, and I'm definitely happy with what we decided to do.
Absolutely, Coach. Well, I appreciate you dropping some wisdom there. Now, before I let you go, you were a winner of the AFCA Assistant Coach of the Year award. I love talking about this award. This one is voted on by your peers. These are other coaches, in the profession that have just seen your body of work, opponents that have, firsthand seen your body of work on the field, just seeing what you've done with student athletes is what you do off the field. And once again, it's voted on by your peers. What does that mean to you to be able to win this award and, kind of be a part of an elite class of coaches that have, been able to win this?
Well, I want to go back again to Coach Larry Wilcox. He is the only coach in history that has had 3 National Assistant Coaches of the Year.
Oh, wow.
Our athletic director, Charlie Gartmeyer, was AFCA NAIA Assistant Coach of the Year. Denny Murphy, who's retired, one of my good friends on the staff, was the National Assistant Coach of the Year, and now it's my turn. And actually, you mentioned colleagues in coaching. It was Coach Lou Varley of Peru State who nominated me. And Coach Varley is a tremendous coach in his own right, and one of the guys that's highly respected in our profession. So being able to be nominated by somebody that you admire and those come back to you makes it all that more special.
Amen, Coach. Well, we're so excited to have you part of our association, and we appreciate the work you do for our young people. And I absolutely respect your longevity and just some of the nuggets you drop to our coaches here. So thank you so much for joining us, Coach. If you have any social media, I don't know if you do that or not. If you got any social media, please feel free to drop any of that so coaches can follow you or keep up with you.
Okay, is this? You're asking me to give it to you over the airwaves?
Yeah,
you can.
yeah.
Okay.
If you have it, yes, sir.
I'm not great with the technology, but one of our young coaches, Coach Brad Hines, our staff is amazing here at Benedictine. Coach Hines put me on the Twitter, so it's Coach Pops BC, and you'd be able to find me that way.
Okay, Coach. We'll make sure to link it in the show notes, and we all look forward to keeping up with your journey. Okay.
Okay, thank you. God bless, and have a great day.
All right, thank you, Coach. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Inside the Headset. If you heard anything on this episode that you would like to learn more information about, head over to afcapodcast.com, where you can find every episode and all of the corresponding show notes. While you're there, take a second to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for the show, please let us know by sending an email to podcast@afca.com. Make sure to follow the podcast on Twitter at Inside the Headset and tag it when you share each episode. You can stay up to date with all things AFCA by following the @WeAreAFCA Twitter account. Every episode of Inside the Headset can also be found on your favorite audio streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. If you are not currently a member of the AFCA, be sure to find us online at afca.com and apply to join over 10,000 NFL, college, and high school coaches from around the country who are striving to be the best they can be. With an AFCA membership, you gain invaluable access to the annual AFCA convention, the bi-monthly magazine, and the new and improved digital library, which contains thousands of videos and articles contributed by hundreds of current and former football coaches. You can also visit afcainsider.com to sign up for our free weekly email newsletter on the right-hand side of the screen. It comes out every Tuesday at lunch and is filled with great articles and stories written by many of the same coaches you hear on the podcast. It's geared to help you become a better coach tomorrow than you are today. Be sure to connect with me on Twitter at Coach Mario Price. And remember, the AFCA is not just an annual convention. It is an association that continually promotes education, guidance, and networking. But it is also so much more than that. The AFCA is about celebrating the past and educating the future. It is about developing great coaches who will produce great teams and even better people. So invest in your skill set and impact today by engaging with the AFCA.